We got Craigbot recording. Thank you, Keenan. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Just let everyone join in, get our speakers up here, and then we will kick it off. Morning, JD. Morning, Livin, or afternoon, Livin. Morning, evening, afternoon, Armand. Hi, Paul. Hi, Tyson's Tech.
Hey, you read my mind. I was gonna hop up and say hello, but I'm really for today's call. I think there's a lot of cool stuff here, so can't wait to dig in.
Awesome, absolutely. There always is. Yeah, and we have a pretty full agenda, so I'll link it here in the chat. You can always find it at helium.foundation/community-call. All right, I think we almost have all of our speakers up to start. Still looks like folks are joining. Welcome, everyone. Ooh, we already got some dad jokes coming in. This is great. Right on cue. From JM, we have, why do mushrooms get invited to all the parties? They're fun guys. Oh, that's good. Okay, I have a really good dad joke today too. Um, okay, why did the decentralized wireless network blush? Please tell me no one said this. Because it heard all the routers were calling it a hotspot. I need a drum thing. Ba-boom. Awesome. Yeah, welcome everyone. Okay, you can find the agenda again at www.helium.foundation/community-call. We have sort of a packed agenda today. I just told you the best dad joke ever. That was on my agenda. And then we're just going to go over some kind of announcements, like what's the big stuff that's been going on in the network over the last month. We'll jump into a grants update from Clarissa and some folks who are joining her today. And then we'll just jump into mobile working group update and IoT working group update. And then we have 4 HIPs to review. So we have authors here, HIP authors here to give you an overview. When it comes to HIP 83, Neil unfortunately could not be present. He's double booked. So I will read over what he shared with all of us today, and we'll get an overview of HIP 83. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. I see a lot of people just joined. So yeah, okay, we'll kick it off. Again, this is the monthly Helium Community Call. This is the May Helium Community Call. So big things in the network. Test votes are still live. You have a day to sort of test the IoT sub-DAO and mobile sub-DAO voting mechanics. You have to stake either IoT or mobile to vote in either of those proposals. Just a note too, staking is totally different than delegating. So if you had some HNT that you staked and you delegated to a subDAO, that doesn't provide you any additional voting rights in the subDAO proposal. So you have to get tokens if you don't have them already and stake those tokens to vote in any of those subDAO proposals. And you can do that, of course, at the kind of designated realms sites for both IoT and mobile subDAOs. And we can link you to those there, and hopefully they're linked in a bunch of places on the Discord. Proposal voting coming live soon. I just want to say that coming live soon. I don't have a better update than that, but we're getting really close. The test votes help us work out some kinks in Realms and just make sure Realms is in the right place to get proposal voting live. When we do have when we do come to proposal voting, we have a few HIPs that are definitely ready for voting, which is HIP 79 and HIP 72. So coming soon. As of today, the Sphere DC portal went live, so you can see www.dc/portal.helium.com. You can use a credit card now to onboard and get some DC, so that's a big one. HIP 69 is implemented. Another big thing that happened last month with the migration to Solana and just HIP 69 was implemented. This was a community led proposal by John Mack, and I'm looking through your comments and seeing your other dad jokes, so thank you. HIP 69 is implemented, so that means that you'll get 50%, you'll have the DC cut in half. It's 50% of the cost for the next 3 months. So you should see that in your Maker apps. And when you make those on-chain transactions, you can confirm that it's cut in half from what you might have seen. So that applies to any location asserts. I don't believe that it applies to the onboarding assert. So that's the first one, but it does apply to any location reasserts. A buy confirm. It does not apply to onboarding. So also, Brandy, who's here with us on stage, joined the foundation as head of comms for the head of communications for the Helium Foundation. So I would love to just give Brandy a few minutes to introduce herself and tell us what she's excited about.
Hello, everyone. I am constantly getting distracted by these amazingly funny jokes this morning. I think we could all use that on a Wednesday. Yes, my name is Brandy, and I have just joined the Helium Foundation as head of communications. Thank you for the welcomes. The community has been amazing and extremely welcoming to me. So that has been a wonderful feeling and a great vibe. But even more importantly, I'm excited to get started. And that is exploring every opportunity that we can as a community to build awareness for the People's Network and decentralization. I think these are huge key messages that we need to continue to share with everyone and anyone that we can in order to get folks looking at us and involved with us and joining the Discord community and all of the other amazing social media channels that we have talking about what we're doing here. So I'm very excited. I will be heading up public relations, talking with the media regularly about us. So definitely a big opportunity and something I'm excited about there. Events, as you know, this community is wildly involved in many, many exciting events all throughout the globe. So I will be diving deep into those events and getting us involved wherever it makes sense. And if you ever have any ideas for me, please feel free to hit me up here on Discord. Brandy is my name. Or if you are into email, I know it's kind of an old-fashioned thing, it seems, these days, but I still use it. Feel free to email us on any of our emails that are out there, including the press one. Feel free to use that. I also regularly look at those, but Discord probably makes the most sense for here. But always open to your suggestions or anything you want to share with us. to help us get the word out about our community and the great things that we're doing. And any product ideas, give it to me all. If you have an idea, share it. Really excited to kind of pull all those things together and start to build awareness across all of those channels for the entire community. So that's it from me. I'll let Valerie take it back over.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandy. Yeah, we're super excited to have her focus on all things comms and help really build that muscle out. So yeah, everyone is super thrilled to have her. So awesome. Okay, only other update or kind of thing to be aware of I'll give you is staying safe in Web3. I know that you've seen lots of updates from community managers on Discord about, you might see this scam NFT or be aware of this. We'll keep doing that as much as we get information about those things as they come into our world, and we'll let you know when we see anything you should be aware of. But definitely kind of always have your suspicious activity goggles on in Web3 and make sure you don't click on anything suspicious, and don't even pay attention to any kind of NFT that might come into your wallet. You'll hear the community managers keep saying stuff like that, and mods, of course, too. The Helium Wallet app actually shouldn't even show you these scam NFTs anymore. It should block them from your view so that you don't have to click or interact with them. But yeah, as a good rule, JD just said to don't click on anything you're not expecting as a good rule of behavior in Web3. So definitely stay safe, and we'll keep giving you information on that as we have it too. So, okay, let's move through the agenda. We now have a grants update from Clarissa. So Clarissa, I'll hand it off to you and go ahead. I think you have both Tanny and IoT Off-Grid up here.
Awesome. Can you see my screen? Can you see my tab?
Let's see, it's loading. It's loading for me.
I see it.
Okay, amazing. We're trying something new today. We're pairing visuals with the grant update. So thank you all for your patience as we test this out. So as many of you know, a lot of solutions that are built on Helium are now ready to scale. And we designed the 2023 grant program with this in mind. How do we help founders and creators get the funding and partnerships that they need to grow? So the first funding opportunity we announced in 2023 was a partnership with several leading funds at the intersection of hardware and Web3, like Samsung Next, Borderless, Baukunst, and the list goes on if you've seen it on the website. This partnership was focused on connecting founders, building innovative technologies and business models on Helium to strategic partners and funding that they need to scale. And I'm thrilled to report that we recently sent out a roundup of promising businesses to our capital partners. And I'm going to give you all a sneak peek of what this roundup looks like. So go ahead and read this out. The collection started off strong with a spotlight of NanoTrack by Sensory. This solution addresses challenges in both the supply chain and smart city spaces. The team transforms temperature data into critical supply chain management system built on Helium's LoRaWAN protocol. We also spotlighted projects like Predict, a solution building infrastructure for supply chain with cutting-edge sensors, and Shoelace Wireless, a project to optimize spectrum. Last but not least, we highlighted a smattering of other promising businesses that are addressing everything from smart energy grids to herd health. This channel with our capital partners is just the beginning for many of these innovative projects, and we're excited to see how this funding opportunity takes shape. And I just want to remind everyone, this is still an open opportunity, so you can apply on the website, and I highly encourage you to do that. Okay, so next I wanted to spotlight one of our grantees. So Tanuka from IoT Off Grid, you're on stage, yes?
They are, but make sure you have push to talk enabled or however you have that setting.
Yeah, well, while Tanuka's working that out, I'll just say their project is from IoT Off Grid and it's completely open source. And we're so excited that they're taking the time today on this call to officially launch the project that was funded by a grant with the Helium Foundation. Yeah, Tanuka, did you make it? Oh, oh no. Oh man. Okay, Tanuka, I'm gonna skip you for a moment while you look at your settings. Unless you figured it out. Nope. Okay. Okay, thank you everyone for your patience. I'm gonna go ahead and skip and come back to you, Tanuka, in just a minute. Yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and bring Tanner up on stage, switching gears a bit. As many of you know, we want to see more meetups that get people.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, Tanuka, welcome. Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties.
No worries, no worries. Here, I'm sharing my screen, so hopefully folks can see your slides. And take it away. We're on your first slide.
Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me. And hi for everyone in the community. Some of you already know me as Prof. TK. And so I just want to actually give you guys an update about the project that we have been working with the Helium Foundation. So we have been working on creating this open source LoRaWAN GPS tracking dashboard, which we coined the term open dash track with a TRAK. So what essentially we hope to do with this platform is to provide an avenue for people to actually use and track their GPS trackers that they use with the Helium network at a open source and easy to use tracking dashboard. So this slide, you can see this is actually the front page of our dashboard. And essentially, we actually have several things that we want to highlight here. One is we actually have a wiki that is available here that details how you can actually essentially ground up, build a tracking platform for your own private business or your private, like, research purposes or any other thing that might require GPS tracking using Helium network. At the same time, we actually have right underneath this text bar, learn how to add your own tracker. So in this dashboard, the way we have actually set it up is up until we actually Helium network finish doing the transfer from console to the chirp stack, we actually set it up in a way where you can add your own tracker to the console, and then we actually give detailed instruction how to actually connect it to this dashboard. So once you actually connect it through the console to the dashboard, indefinitely you can actually visualize your tracker using the dashboard. So right now we actually tested a large number of trackers. However, what we found out was the rack Visnode tracker seems to be the most reliable and convenient to use tracker out of them all. And since this is an open source platform that we are pushing out to general public, we wanted to make sure we actually start this off with a tracker that anyone can actually use and not necessarily has to be tech savvy to onboard this tracker to the console and use this open source platform. Clarissa, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, please. So this is the interface. So once you actually follow the instructions that we give on onboarding the tracker through the console, you can actually type in the div key of the tracker onto that text box and essentially visualize the tracker real time on the dashboard. So here there are like, a number of things that you can see here. So one thing is we actually show all the data points that your tracker generates through the thing, and then you can download the data set so as an Excel spreadsheet. But at the same time, we actually generate the QR code that you can share with anyone. So let's say someone wants to go on a road trip, and you want to actually share the progress of the road trip with your friends or family. You can actually send this screenshot, and they can literally use this QR code to in live track the progress of your road trip or things like that. So there's like number of features we actually provide this right off the bat. Now, as I mentioned, this is open source one, and this is free to use. So essentially you can set up this for any private endeavor as well. If you think there's like any use that you can use of it for completely free. At the same time, all these front-end integrations, back-end integrations with the console, they are all populated in GitHub. So if you go to our wiki, you can actually get all the necessary source code that is required for you to deploy this kind of a system yourself as well. So if you want to set up an asset tracking solution, you can do it with the source code that we have developed from this. And now I know some people might say like, this mapping interface, remember, this is an open source platform. So this mapping interface is from OpenStreets, because we wanted to keep the overhead lower so we can actually support this kind of effect for long term. Clarissa, would you mind going to the last slide, please? Yes, so the next thing is, so this is the open track wiki. So from the wiki, there's actually a number of different like things. Essentially, if you are planning to deploy this kind of a tracking network, how to actually validate the area that you are using for this kind of application, whether there's good Helium net coverage, how to actually establish new coverage. So all those pertaining information we are actually providing in the wiki, and all the deployment information also we are providing there. And if you have any questions or if you need additional information about that, you can always refer back to us. And the last thing is, so this is actually something extra that we are doing, which is environmental conservation and tech. So this is an open access course that we made to get newbies who are actually entering into this IoT LoRaWAN field get accustomed to the technologies that might exist in IoT that might be useful for environment conservation. So because we mainly aim at using these GPS trace technologies towards environmental conservation field, and we work with a lot of environmental conservation organizations, and a lot of the people who are doing the groundwork has very little knowledge about IoT. So this course was actually put together from us as like onboarding course. So anyone can go through the course and learn the basics of LoRaWAN, basics of IoT, what kind of sensors are there. And at the end, we actually have some of the community developed IoT DIY solutions that is very useful for environmental conservation. So overall, this is a project funded by Helium Foundation. We are very happy for that. And we are still doing updates on it continuously, because we plan to use this with number of other organizations within the tri-state area and Pacific Northwest. So we would really appreciate community members' feedback and community members using this and telling us if there's like certain features that they would like to add. If it's feasible on our end, we would be more than happy to integrate them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanuka. I'm so glad that you got your audio working and could join us. That was a great demo, and we're very excited to see the community run with what you've built. Okay, so switching gears a bit, I think quite a few of you know that we are funding small gatherings through community event grants. And I am going to invite Tanner on the stage to speak about the community event coming to life in Denver. This is an example of a grantee thinking outside of the box and leveraging a $500 grant from the Helium Foundation to deliver a truly impactful gathering that the community wants and needs. So take it away, Tanner.
Wow, thank you so much for the intro. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, perfect.
Yep. Awesome. So yeah, I applied for a community event grant, and I put it into a prize pot basically for a Helium hackathon. That my goal, in the end is to get new developers excited about the SDKs available. I spent the last 2 years learning how to become a programmer simply by needing to do so because was trying to use some helium sensors, and I had so much fun doing it that now I'm trying to kind of create a hub for all these projects that I see being built and enabled by helium. So the goal is to have what will be like a recurring hackathon space in Denver. This first one, I decided I should let people attend remotely, and so we had 4 really awesome projects submitted. And these developers, the way this hackathon is set up is we'll spend 6 months, learning skills and growing their project. And so they'll be providing like a weekly update to me, and I'll be keeping them motivated with some exciting interviews and workshops. We've worked with IoTex and some other folks who may be able to provide some remote workshops that we were going to, eventually these will all be being done in person. But my goal is to kind of raise awareness at this point. I realize we're early, and that's like something that I'm super optimistic and happy about. So I want to encourage people like myself who don't necessarily have a developer background to just sort of dive in and play in the sandbox and harness these tools in the community that's available. I'm again really bullish on open source tech and decentralized networks, and so this is right up my alley as far as creating economic opportunities for specific communities. And I'm actually at the Solana Labs office in New York City right now at a developer bootcamp so that I can provide better DeFi gaming and staking opportunities to our community. And ideally, the Helium Denver event space is managed by Lava DAO. You guys can reach out to me on Discord or Twitter to learn more about the DAO, but the DAO manages the event space, and the treasury for the DAO is what is used for the prize pot. So like a percentage goes to planning, and the rest is divided amongst the winners. The submissions to this hackathon have already closed, but we highly encourage you guys to come check it out at heliumdenver.com. We are building a metaverse space using Solana portals that will allow anybody in the world to attend the convention. We're going to be live streaming the in-person event in the metaverse, and all of the contestants are going to have a booth so that you can interact with their dApps or learn more about the projects that they are building on Helium. And thanks for giving me this opportunity to share this with you guys. Hopefully a lot of you have already heard about this, and it's not all brand new news, but for those of you who don't have any idea what Helium Denver is, I highly encourage you to check us out on Twitter or on heliumdenver.com. Our Twitter is just H&T Denver. And we're just really excited to see what the community brings forward. We're going to be doing this recurring, probably a big event every year and maybe some smaller ones throughout. So if you're in the Denver area, please do reach out. We would love to have you in person. But if you can't make it, you can anyway. So thanks again for the time. I appreciate this exposure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tanner. That is so ambitious and very exciting. And yeah, we're excited to see how it goes. All right, just last few minutes here. I wanted to take some time. Some of you may have noticed that we announced a new grant opportunity a few weeks ago that we're calling Helium Data Grant. We've invited the community to submit ideas for open source projects that meaningfully improve access, awareness, and understanding of Helium data from Solana on-chain and oracles. Over just a couple of weeks, we've seen many interesting submissions. We've got 20 plus proposals so far. And yeah, we're excited to see what comes in the last little bit of time that y'all have to submit. It takes about 20 minutes to submit an idea. This is really just an initial idea pitch for our team. You can win up to $10,000 for your project idea. And you have until end of day Friday, so a little over 48 hours to submit your idea. Yeah, and you can find it on the grants homepage. So highly encourage everyone to submit. Thank you so much for your patience for this first pancake of using visuals for the presentations. Yeah, I'll hand it back to Valerie. Thank you so much.
So great, Clarissa. Thank you so much. Awesome. And yeah, Brian just put, Angry Pickle Bear just put some resources in the chat so you can find anything about the grants page through that Twitter link, or you can go to helium.foundation/grants. And I believe that's where you apply, correct, Clarissa?
That
Oh, she's
is
still up here.
correct, Valerie.
There
Yep.
she is.
And again, it takes 20 minutes to apply.
Okay.
Very easy.
Awesome. Super easy. Cool. Okay. We will move down through our agenda. We now have the mobile working group presenting kind of what they've done over the last month and some new updates about where they're going. I have Gateholder here, so Gateholder, please take the floor.
Sure thing. Thanks, Valerie. Obviously, the Proof of Coverage mobile group has been doing a lot. We've got several HIPs we feel are ready to go to vote in the next coming weeks as soon as voting has become available to us on Realms. The first one is HIP 79, which primarily deals with the mappers, the spot mappers, and their ability to get rewarded for the work that they do on for at least for as far as the mobile network goes. And we've decided to kind of break it up into two pieces. One, to allow basically just get the rewarding structure down and make sure that everything kind of makes sense. And then probably a second part will have to come on later in regards to dealing with it and whether or not it's going to become its own sub-DAO or what. The next HIP, probably the most important HIP, is HIP 82, which introduces Helium Mobile as the first service provider for Helium Mobile. They are there's been lots of back and forth discussion. Always welcome to have people come on and kind of give their viewpoints, and I think that we've kind of been able to reach a pretty good consensus about the first steps going forward with bringing them on board. Very, very excited about that and appreciate all the work that Boris, Sasha, and the rest of the POC group has done. Yeah, so then probably the next HIP is the HIP 84, which is the service provider hex boosting HIP. Basically, it's just a way to influence the growth of the network and trying to basically give direction from Helium Mobile once it becomes a service provider to incentivize people to deploy in certain areas and regions and places where they need coverage. It's pretty straightforward. And then I'll probably go ahead and let Andy bring up HIP 85, but I'll just preface it with it's the HIP that that we're proposing to have how the coverage will be rewarded going forward. Kind of basically, I'll say the entire purpose of our working group is to start rewarding people based on the merit of their coverage. I'll let Heated Lime come up and finish that off.
Yeah, thanks, Gateholder. So the premise of HIP 85 is to basically limit the amount of POC model coverage points that are awarded to radios, depending on the coverage they provide. So basically, any redundant or overlapping coverage doesn't need to necessarily be rewarded to the full extent as coverage that isn't overlapping. So the premise of HIP 85 is to provide each radio within each signal that radio provides within a single Res 12 hex, a multiplier of either 1 or 0.75. So it just will reward the top 2 radios that have the highest signal strength in each Res 12 hex. And any other radios that provide overlapping coverage within that Res 12 hex that have a lower signal strength will not be rewarded POC modeled coverage points. This is only applicable to outdoor radios, so indoor radios are excluded. And also, this does not affect how you are rewarded for data transfers. So even if you are providing overlapping coverage and don't have the highest signal strength, but you are providing data and offloading data, you still will be rewarded for data. Right now on the HIP-85 channel, what's currently being discussed is that should a third radio at a lower threshold be rewarded for redundant overlapping coverage. So I welcome everybody to check out that channel, provide some feedback. I do have a temperature check poll on there to see what the community wants. So definitely looking for community feedback on anything else we can make it that would make it better before we put it to a vote. So thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks, Andy.
Awesome. Actually, since we have Sasha here too, I want to make sure we get to HIP 82 and HIP 84 also. So Sasha, can I put you on the spot? We'll kind of move into the mobile working group HIPs altogether. We'll take that as a HIP 85 update. Thank you, Heated Lime. And then would love to have you give an overview of HIP 82 and 84.
Sure. Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. I don't need to do the push to talk thing. Great. HIP 82 that proposes to add Helium Mobile as a service provider to Helium Mobile Network. I think that's for me personally, it's one of the most exciting HIPs. The mobile network has been up and live for almost a year now. We're short of 2 months. And I think community has done an incredible and amazing job of building out the network, putting out those radios, providing coverage. And I'm super excited to actually start bringing usage to the network. So that's what HIP 82 proposes, is to add a Helium Mobile as a service provider. And I'm just going to go over like key points, important things in the HIP. So as outlined in HIP 53, in order to become a service provider on the mobile network, service provider A needs to be voted in by the community. And that's what's gonna, we hope, happen very soon. And service provider needs to stake 500 million mobile tokens. There'll be a cooldown period of 90 days before a service provider can take back their tokens and stake them once they publicly announce that they're no longer going to provide, offload data to the network. So the tokens that are staked by the service providers, they're not going to get any rewards for staking, but service providers will be able to claim rewards for uploading the data to the network. And separate HIP 84 takes care of the mechanics of the rewards and like how it's going to be proportional to the data that's being uploaded. And also HIP 79 proposes to change the percentage of rewards that will be available from service providers. So originally, in HIP 53, 20% of mobile rewards from the emissions pool would go to the service providers, but HIP 79 proposes to change that to 10%, and most likely that's what's going to happen. Another important thing in the HIP 82 is the limiting of the rewards for the data transfer. So what I'm talking about, we're planning to have unlimited data plans for subscribers of Helium Mobile. And in order to prevent abuse by subscribers, cases like they provide coverage, they subscribe to the network, and they stream Netflix all day long just to mine an incredible amount of rewards. And there is no easy solution how to prevent that. So we decided to take a simple approach, and there's been a lot of discussion about that. So we ended up was proposing to limit the amount of rewards hotspots would get for providing data to subscribers at 30 gigabyte per month. And that's per subscriber only of an unlimited plan. And this 30 gigabyte limit will reset after beginning of the end of each month. So let's say a subscriber with unlimited plan has used, that subscriber is always connected to one hotspot for simplicity, right? And that subscriber has used 30% of their data, of the limit. So the hotspot that they're connected to will receive rewards for providing 30 gigabyte of data for that subscriber, but whatever happens over it, the hotspot will not be rewarded. So this is a proposal in the HIP. There'll be a grace period, 6 months, for the Nova Labs to implement feature to opt out for data transfer for specific service provider. So let's say hotspot owner doesn't want to provide any free data. There'll be an option within 6 months to opt out to provide any data over paid limit to the service provider. If Nova Labs doesn't implement this feature, the reward cap limit will be removed immediately. And also the reward cap limit, there's an important paragraph how it's calculated. So it's going to be reevaluated once a year on August 1st, and it will depend on the average usage of subscribers on the network, and it will be one deviation over, that's going to be the limit set. And in rare case that the limit falls below the average usage, then their reevaluation of reward limit will be done immediately. I think that's the most important part of this HIP. I encourage everyone to read it through, ask questions. And again, we had a lot of discussions with mobile working group, and I think that's the solution we came with. That's it. I think I covered the main points.
Awesome. If anyone has any questions about HIP 85 or HIP 82, please put them in the chat and we will take some questions. I want to give a little bit of time for that. If not, Sasha, I might also ask you to explain HIP 84 in a bit more detail as well. Or Gateholder is here too.
Absolutely. Anyone, Gateholder, if you want to take it, up to you.
No, feel free. Go ahead.
Yeah. So service provider hex boosting. That's another important HIP that will actually help to build Helium Mobile network more useful and bring the coverage where subscribers are actually located. So essentially, hex boosting HIP allows service provider to increase rewards in a particular hexes where we know there's more subscribers allocated. They're using the network there the most, and they're more on our partner network versus Helium Mobile network. So this will be an approach to incentivize building coverage in those areas. And there'll be definitely tools like Coverage Planner will have an interface where a deployer can see what hexes are boosted, what's the boost amount. And in order to boost hexed, service provider will need to burn mobile tokens into the hex. So that's very, I think, elegant solution. And also the timeline, the countdown of the hex boost will start once the data actually starts flowing into that area. But we'll definitely work on making it on the Coverage Planner very transparent and open and easy to understand what are the areas that are important to get the deployments in. If Gateholder, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that's, I mean, HIP 84 is pretty, I think pretty easy to understand. Just kind of, I think it aligns with promoting what Helium Mobile wants to do, and it tries to align it to the community. So I think it's a pretty win-win scenario.
Awesome. We do have a question, and I actually have a question too. But from Vincent Tran, is there a way to see the rewards, data transfer, and POC rewards when this rolls out, basically filtering the type of reward?
I think that's question more to Foundation and maybe Hotspotty, if that's in the plan roadmap for the Explorer to show.
Good point. Okay. One of my questions is when you said it, you burn it into the hex. So when you burn it into the hex, does it go to the other operators in that hex, or does it go back to the sub DAO?
It just burns.
It just burns. Okay.
It just burns, yes.
I see. Yeah.
Brought up.
Yeah, I mean, just small here. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm working from the beach, so maybe a bit noisy. But I think what I'd like to say in terms of like displaying this information, we're spending a lot of time digging into the off-chain and also the on-chain data. Be able to show like wallet transactions, activity for the hotspots. So we plan to always keep an eye on new changes and updates and put that on to the hotspot and be able to see, of course, the rewards, but also new kind of transactions, new kind of updates that happen. We're always going to be working on that to keep as up to date as possible. So it's been pretty good working with the foundation on that, and yeah, just trying to help the community and bring transparency as much as possible. If you guys have any questions, please, always here, always available.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, great. Okay, Sasha and Gateholder, I think that was a really thorough overview of what y'all in the mobile group have been working on. Do you also want to give just a really quick how you're thinking about next elections? I know we made an announcement about that today, but can you kind of give an overview about how you're thinking about that and adding new members to the working group?
Sure. So the plan is that we're going to hold another election using Realms, using the mobile VE mobile to vote members in, and basically we kind of want to have an oscillating function to the membership overlap. So this first vote, or I guess it's the second vote of the working mobile group, will basically be offset. So if you're odd numbers, you'll be in for 6 months, and if you're even numbers, you'll be in for 3 months. And then we'll hold elections every 3 months for 5 spots. And we'll have a certain amount of time for people to sign up if they're interested in serving in the mobile working groups or the any other work. I think the other working groups are working on similar proposals, but yeah. So if you want to, kind of bring your ideas to the table, I highly encourage you to come and I think there'll be a Doc Valerie rate that'll be available for people to sign up and kind of give a quick introduction to what they are and what they're looking to do and what they're looking to get out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll do what we did previously, where you'll have sort of a Google form and you'll just input your name or someone else, your nomination. You'll put a little paragraph or however much text you'd like to, honestly, about why you want to be in the working group and kind of what you can offer by being part of that discussion. So we'll get all of those in, and then we'll publish them in the same fashion we did through the Discord forums. You'll read those, and then you'll cast your on-chain vote. We'll do this with Realms proposal voting, and so you'll just be able to put a yes or no for each nominee. And then the mobile working group will take the sort of top 10 winners, right? You have to pass the vote, but then you also have to hold the most HNT in voting. So you have to, get the most weighted, or sorry, not weighted HNT, weighted mobile, VE mobile to be this top 10 as part of the group, and then they'll do that ranking that they said where odds will be for 6 months and evens will be for 3 months. I do mean VE Mobile, yes. I keep getting my tokens mixed up, but yes, VE Mobile. No, so it's not to serve 3 months, then resign. It's going to be, they're just going to do 50% of the working group up for reelection every 3 months to kind of get new folks in and sort of have I think a cadence around, who comes in and how they get kind of fresh blood and fresh perspective. So they're just going to do 50% of the group up for reelection every 3 months. Okay. Max says that was a really good idea. Is that his idea? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Max. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Gateholder. Really good overview. They went over HIP 82, HIP 85, and HIP 84. Again, there are all discussion channels still open for these, so please go and provide your feedback, understand the HIP, and they're moving along to get to proposal voting in Realms soon. So just stay aware of what's going on. We'll give you updates as we have them.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Awesome. And last thing too, mobile working group meets Thursdays at 11 here in Discord. So you can also, it's sort of a fishbowl discussion like this. So you can log in and you can listen in the audience to what they talk about. And they're all available for discussion and input. Let's go to the IoT working group with Jeremy now. I have Jerem up here. Jeremy from the foundation. He's going to give us an overview of what's been going on with the IoT group. So Jeremy, take it away.
All right, thanks, Valerie. So the IoT working group is a proof of coverage working group for Helium's original and largest subnetwork, the LoRaWAN subnetwork. And it has over 400,000 active hotspots to manage and has a lot of stakeholders. And that makes it a lot of interested parties. And in the working group for IoT, the group's been starved a little bit for data because a lot of the proposals the group wants to work through really require some data to see how those impacts would be. And some of that data has started showing up. A lot of amazing things have happened in the last few weeks. We've gotten, Rioba has provided provided an excellent tool for evaluating HIP 83. Really encourage everyone who has a hotspot and is interested in what HIP 83 would do. Checking out that tool, I think we'll have someone will post a link in the chat there. And it is up and live as of yesterday. We were using it. And we've gotten the IoT working group was talking about elections and recognized they don't really have any formal power. And it's really just a group of like-minded people meeting together to try to work through problems. So rather than hold a new election for this next slot, this next 3 month position, the group decided to just sort of kind of vote in new members and expand membership, just because it's very informal in the first place. So until such time as the group gains sort of formal powers, the group felt pretty confident in bringing in some more members. So we've got 4 new members in the group. In no particular order, from my memory. They are Rioba, who helped add a lot of the data to the tools. We've got Nosmaster 89, who has also been contributing a lot of data and reports and did some interesting research into the area of witness reporting times. We have Professor, who is from Nova and one of the original writers of POC. Should have been in the group the whole time. And finally, we've got Guten Tag Sam from the foundation, who also did an incredible amount of providing data to the group. So the group invited all these people because they've been extremely helpful in collecting the data. And that's our sort of main mission right now, is getting good data. And of course, HIP 83, authored by Neil, is still under discussion. So we'll leave it up to Neil whether it's ready to vote. Valerie, I don't know if you said you had some summary from Neil prepared. Did you want
I do,
to read
yeah.
that?
I do. Let me get it up 1 second. Yeah, so unfortunately, Neil could not be with us today. He was double booked at this call, but I have a little summary of HIP 83 for those that haven't read it yet or just haven't been aware of what's going on there, and then I'll give you some notes from Neil. So HIP 83 suggests a change in the reward system for witnesses in the proof of coverage oracles. Currently, 14 witnesses are randomly rewarded for each beacon, but this proposal suggests reverting to rewarding the first 14 hotspots that respond to a beacon. The motivation behind this change is to incentivize hotspots to provide low latency connections that sensors require for uplinks, downlinks, and join requests to function properly. By prioritizing the fastest responders, this change aims to improve the efficiency of the network. The proposal addresses technical limitations of the previous reward system and highlights that the new Oracle-based POC architecture introduced in HIP 70 no longer necessitates random selection. The detailed explanation outlines a process of transmitting beacons, constructing beacon reports, and receiving witness reports. It argues that rewarding the fastest responders will encourage low latency setups and benefit sensors. It talks about the deployment impact being minimal and expects a simple change to the verifier oracle to achieve this. So some more notes. HIP 83 is progressing thanks to Ryoba from Helium Geek for providing data for the HIP. As Jeremy said, it sounds like there is a tool that you can go and check how your hotspot would perform in HIP 83. In the HIP 83 channel, there is both the raw CSV data for one epoch with current witnesses numbers and after what it would look like after HIP 83. We can link there. It's linked in the notes here, but I can link it here too. This is the visualizer, and the visualizer shows the Res 12 with which the center of is where your hotspot's asserted to. Res 12s are really small, so you'll need to zoom in a bit to click. When you click the hex, the raw data is shown. There are two colors on the visualizer, red and blue. Red shows a reduction of witnesses from that hotspot selected after HIP 83. Blue shows an increase of witnessing with HIP 83. Currently, this data is available for one epoch, the last 24 hours, as we would never expect hotspot hosts to base their earnings on one day. Ryoba has graciously accepted the challenge to extend this data set to use 7 days of data for a better look. So it sounds like an update to the visualizer is coming from Ryoba. Thanks goes out to NOSMaster for potentially finding a bug with Docker hotspot beacons. It seems to take a full second longer for witnesses to report that beacon to the ingester compared to a non-Docker based hotspot. But for witnessing, both Docker and non-Docker have comparable report times within 10 milliseconds of each other. This is being looked into, possibly a network configuration issue with Docker. This find will improve responses for data transfer. In last night's POC working group call, it was noted this HIP does not need anti-gaming support. Collusion between beacon and witnesses can mean faster response time. Luckily, this is easy to spot, and until a time where it can be dealt with automatically, it should be dealt with using the deny list. This kind of behavior sticks out like a sore thumb. If anyone has any feedback, Neil says we welcome all questions in the HIP 83 channel. And you can see these notes exactly as I've just read them to you on the community call agenda and notes. And yeah, we will link you also to this visualizer. Have you tried this, Jeremy?
I have tried it. And that, wow, thanks, Valerie, for that actually almost entire update on the IoT working group. I guess Neil was originally scheduled to do this, and he provided some notes. So that was more than just HIP 83. That's just another take on what's going on in the working group. So yes, just as a reminder, everyone, as you click on this tool, right now it is only serving 1 day's worth of data, which can be very, if you've ever operated a hotspot, the behavior any 1 day isn't really reflective of your overall quality of your deployment. So we're recognizing that Ryoba is going to work on the data. So it reflects about a week's worth of data, which is a pretty good set of days to average across, so you can get a real sense of the average activity you'd see. So it's generally going to show you how many witnesses how many beacon events you were selected for before the change, and then after it would show how many you would be selected for if HIP-83 were to go through. And it is crawling through massive amounts of data. But again, using wonderful, rich data that we have available in the oracles that's just starting to be exposed to the public. I mean, it's out there. You have to be pretty geeky to go dig through it. And we're working on ways to make that a lot more visible. And with that end, the working group is opening up to, after getting this next set of HIPs passed, in the general working group roadmap, there is the idea of looking at this data to help populate and make a stronger automated kind of deny list, which we talked about a little bit in that update to 83, saying that, yeah, nothing in 83 is anti-gaming. It doesn't do anything to fix any gaming vectors, as we call them. But the data there that it uses can be used. It's much richer and possibly, not just possibly, it actually comes in at a lot more than the old POC beaconing system did. So there's a lot of data that some automated tools and learning algorithms could use to help detect anomalous behavior and help reward really good setups. So that's the general goal of POC for IoT, is to continue to improve that. I am working on a HIP that is aiming to really reward the best hotspots and make certain that the network is what we're going to call providing an SLA, a service level agreement to users of the network, to make certain that we really encourage hotspot deployments that are up, constantly usable, low latency, and many other factors that users of the network have been telling us for quite a while that they want to see a really high quality professional network. We can get there by adopting some of these new HIPs. And we're right on time here. Anything else that I'm monitoring the chat here?
Yeah, any questions for HIP 83 or IoT working group? Please go ahead and put them in the chat. I see some typing. Okay. From JD, when IoT stickers? Not really for the working group, but maybe a Keenan question, actually. I think he makes a lot of stickers.
Well, it looks like there's a lot of general data questions and things that we could visit offline. They're not going to be easy to.
Okay.
So I'll hand it back to you.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And I see two questions I see from Gateholder and hacking this and that, but yeah, we'll put them in the channel to get back to them. But yeah, I think honestly we're sort of towards the end of our call. I have a bye here though, if a bye wants to add any other notes about things going on in the network, and we'll just give him the floor to speak.
First of all, I just want to say I love that I didn't have to say a whole lot. I'm used to being super active during the community calls, but we have such an enormous community and like really great moderation. So it's been great to be actually mostly a participant and a troll in the chat, of course. I did want to sort of mention a couple of things. One, obviously we're over a month since the migration, and really want to say thank you to the entire community for sort of guiding us through this, and that's been it's been really great. I think overall, for a lot of folks, it's been a good experience. We've worked through a lot of bugs as well, which has also been requires some patience, but we've worked through most of them, and really at this point things are humming, and I think the most sort of notable thing for me is how fast everything is on Solana. And so that's been pretty cool to see and to start engaging with a lot of the different Solana ecosystem teams. So there's that. We're going to be at Solana's Hacker House next week. I think it's next week. And that's been and I know that Joey's going to be doing a talk there, a hardware talk there. So that'll be pretty cool to introduce some things about Helium to the Solana community. As far as sort of other things that are going on, I know there's one thing in the notes here, which is around a PR to a brand new hip around modifying HST. I just want to acknowledge it. It's out there. I didn't have a chance to completely read through it yet, but I sort of did a quick skim right at the start of the call as we were going through. I actually do want to have a chat with the authors a little bit to talk about a couple of things in there that are not exactly correct. And this is not a knock on the authors in any way. I mean, there's just context that might not be there. But in general, it's a pretty significant economic change, and would like to try to understand the motivation a little bit. So yeah. So expect a little more details there. If it comes to a vote, we want to make sure that it's in a sort of total solid state before it's really ready for wide consumption and voting. And so yeah, that's the only really update that I have.
Those are great. Awesome. Okay, well, we're really at exactly an hour, a little over an hour. I can't believe we got through all 4 hips in under an hour. I thought that was going to take us a lot more time. So everyone was really concise. I think that speaks to kind of how sort of scoped each of those hips actually are, and that the concepts are really consumable. So yeah, thanks everyone for being here today. There's so much going on in the community. Please make sure to refer to the notes in the agenda for any links or anything going on. We have the foundation grants for that data grant open for the next 48 hours. Go to helium.foundation/grants. Participate in any of the HIPs. Talk to working group members if you want to give some feedback or understand things or get more involved. There's just so much going on here. If you want to talk about what you're doing or building in the network, please let us know for the next community call, and we'll make sure to get you on the agenda. But I think that's all for today. So thanks everyone for participating.
Hey, Valerie,
go
can I
ahead.
slide something in last second?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Just for the folks who are considering doing data grants, I dropped this in the chat, but check out what's going on Dune. We've got a lot of awesome analytics dashboards on Dune. It's dune.com. Basically, they index all the Solana on-chain data, and they've also indexed all of our custom Helium smart contracts. So if you're looking to hack on that, you want to get into that grant, definitely check out a bunch of the examples. I've been grinding hard creating dashboards personally, but I'd love to see some community contributed dashboards. There are lots of great examples on all of our dashboards about queries that not only touch just like the token-based data and transactional data on Solana, but also things from our custom smart contracts. So check out Dune. It's very easy to use. They've got amazing documentation, and I would love to see people build stuff. So that's all.
Awesome. Yeah. And we can link, you already linked it, but we'll put it in the agenda too, so you can get back to the dashboard. But yeah, folks are already saying free tier is really usable. Dune is fast. It sounds awesome. So hopefully that helps anyone building. If you're in the Helium Denver Hackathon, hopefully that applies to you as well. You'll see a few kind of community folks acting as judges there. I know Teague from Helium Hacks is going to be there, and Nick, the famous Gristle King. So they're both going to be judges in that. So again, thanks everyone for joining today. Don't have much else for y'all, and keep getting at it. Thank you.
Thanks, Valerie. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome.